Smart Learning Suite Online is a great website for creating your lesson and delivering it to your students. However, it is a bit limited in its features if you do it just in the website. Your best option is to start in Smart Notebook, create your lesson, and then upload it to the website and then deliver it. So I'm going to give you a few examples of how you might do that. I'm going to start in Smart Notebook, which is this icon right here in your dock. Should be on every computer in Rockingham County. And I got a PDF from Teachers Pay Teachers, and I'd like to have my students annotate or write over top of the document. So I'm going to go to Insert, and I'm going to say Picture, even though it's a PDF. I'm going to find my equivalent fractions that I'd like them to fill out, hit Open, and there it is. So now that is ready for them to annotate over. Now before I upload this lesson to the website, I want to put a few other examples in. So I'm going to make another page. So I'm going to hit this little green plus to make a second page. And now we're going to do where I have you label the parts of a flower. So let's go ahead and insert a picture that I found, non-copyrighted online. And parts of a flower right here. Now, as this stands, the students could draw lines from the words below to label it, or they could write in the words, but they can't move them. And I want to make this an interactive lesson. So we're going to take a screenshot, Command-Shift-4. We're going to insert the screenshot that we did, insert picture. We're going to go to desktop, and there's my screenshot. We're going to put that in. Now we also need, if I go back to this picture, we also need each one of these texts to be separate pictures so they're movable in our lesson. So a couple ways I can do that. I could do screenshots. I can also use the camera tool that's built into Notebook, which is just like a screenshot. And I can highlight one by one the pictures. And I'm just going to send it to the current page. So there it is. Once you have all your screenshots or pictures in your file, I just need to put them on the right page now. So I am going to drag over and highlight all 4 of those. Or 5, I might be missing one. And then I'm just going to drag them to the right page that I want, which is page 2 here. And there they are. And then I can move them wherever I want them on the page. And students will drag them to the right spot. Now, one thing you might want to do is right now this flower moves, and I don't want them to be able to move the directions or the background. So I'm going to hit the down arrow in the top right corner. And I'm going to choose lock, and I'm going to choose lock in place. That way, this can't move. Now, for those who aren't familiar with Notebook, anytime you put anything in this software, there are 3 things you can do to it. You can move it by just clicking it. It could be a picture, movie, anything. You can make it bigger by hitting the white circle in the bottom right corner and dragging it out. And you can rotate it. I don't need page 3 here, so I'm just going to delete this whole page here. And get rid of that one. Now, I did want to give you one more example before we upload this. So I'm going to add another page. And this time I'm going to make a game. There's 11 game templates that you can use. All you have to do is put the information in and it makes the game for you. So you click on this little alien guy here. You have all these choices of games. I'm going to choose the Super Sort. Start with, and we're going to compare summer and put some words in there that describe summer, and we'll compare that with winter. Okay, let's say we got all our items in there. We're going to hit next, and then you have all these themes you can choose from, and you can change them. So for now, we'll choose the garden, hit finish. And that makes my game. And basically, when you drag it to the right place, it disappears. When you drag it to the wrong place, it bounces back. So now we're ready to upload this to the Smart Learning website. So let me save this file first. So I'm going to do File, Save. Put it on the desktop so we can find it. And we can close Notebook. We don't need any more. The first step in starting with the Smart Learning Suite website is you start in Google Drive. and that's also where all your files will save. So we're going to click the New button. We're going to go down to More, go down to Smart Learning Suite, and click on that. The first time you log in, it is going to ask you to log in with Google. You are a teacher. Once you're in, you have all these options here. You can import a resource like a PowerPoint, a PDF, a notebook file, or any Google file, and it will convert it into this format. Ignore the YouTube since we are blocking that and we're using My VR Spot. You can just do a blank page or a title page. Shout it out. It gives you the idea that you can have students type pictures or text and they'll appear up on your screen for everyone to see, and then you can talk about it, sort of a way of getting a class discussion or people's input. Response is just like a quiz or an assessment. And then you have the 11 game, here's the templates that we did earlier in Notebook. You can see they just show up, but they're pretty similar. They also have these ready-made things ready to use. Some of the cool ones that I thought were really cool is these manipulatives, especially if you teach math. These are all ready for you to use. And you just click on them and you're good to go. With that, I'm going to start with importing a resource. And I'm going to choose from my device. And I'm going to find my notebook file that we created. I'm going to click Open. And it's going to add it to Google Drive and into this website. One of the first things you want to do once it loads it up, make sure you're happy with the name in the top left corner. Okay. Then you got to look at each page and decide if you want it to be an activity that students can interact with or they're just looking at it for information. I do want students to be able to interact with this because I want them to be able to write and fill in the fractions. So I'm going to click Convert to Activity, and then I have two choices. One is I can make it an individual, which makes a copy for every student, and I as a teacher be able to see what they do and grade it if I want. Or I can do collaborative, which means they're working together in a group. So for most things that I want to do individual. And you got to do this to every single page. There is none that says do it for all, which I wish there was. Now the games, you don't have to do anything to. The game is ready to go. So after you've done all that, you can click Finish Editing. Then, if we want to share this with the students, we have two choices. We can either share a link that they can do in their own time, and all we do to do that is we click on these three lines and we go to Share Link. The top link would be sharing it with a teacher. The bottom link means you're sharing it with a student. So to show you what that looks like, I would just load up the student's browser, go into Schoology or however you're sharing this with the student. They would click on the link. Students will click Sign in to open, sign in with Google, choose their account. They will get the opportunity to put whatever name they want. I would tell the students, if they want the grade, they need to choose their real name. And they're going to get a Start button. In the bottom left corner, they can navigate to the next slide when they're ready. So I'll hit Start, and that's going to open up the first slide. We're going to use this as an example to show you what the tools that are available. So the hand means you get to move things. So I'd be able to move this around because I didn't lock it. The next one is your pen, and you can choose different colors. And then you also have a highlighter, and you can choose what thickness you want. So let's choose red here. You also have an eraser if you mess up, so I can erase things. And I can also add in any non-copyrighted image. So if I wanted to, I could search for fraction and see what comes up. And I could drag in a picture that I think represents what we're talking about and put that in. Of course, just like Notebook, you can click in the bottom right corner, resize it. You can rotate it. And if you click in the middle, you can move it. I can also add text. So if I want to put my name in here, I can say, except the text is having trouble because it's over top of this picture. So let me click out here and try it again. Once you put the text in, you can click on it You can make it bigger. I can move it over top of wherever I want it to go. And you also have a reset page, which would delete everything I've done. If I'm ready for the next page, it automatically saves. It is good to hit done. It's sort of like an extra save there. Hit the down arrow, goes to the next page, I hit start. And if you remember, this is the one that had the parts of the flower. Notice I can't move the background or the parts of the flower. But because I made these extra boxes and they're all separate, I can move them and label them around. You can see I need to work on my parts of the flower here. But that gives you the idea. Now, here's what's cool. So let's just leave this here a second. I'm going to switch back to the teacher mode. And I'm going to go to page 2, click on Student Progress, and show you that I can see what's going on right now, sort of like a Google Doc, with my student. If I want to, I could even leave him a note that he needs to work on this. Okay, and we can both write and interact with this at the same time. I go back to the student view. You're going to see there's try again from the teacher. And let's look at the game. So the games are more for fun. They teach you whether you're right or wrong, but they're not going to give you a grade. So you can see it disappears when I get it right, bounces back if I get it wrong. Let's go back to the teacher mode. Now let's say instead of going through at their own pace, I want to control it, sort of like a Nearpod lesson. So when I go to the next slide, the student's device goes to the next slide. If I want to do that, I need to click on the little person icon right here. I need to click at the top, and this is my number that will never change. So you could take a screenshot of this and post it in Schoology and just keep it there. That website's where they always go. That is the same ID they always use because it's for my class. So to show you that, I'm going to go to the student. We're going to go to hellosmart.com. We're going to put in my number. And because I was in here previous, it says resume. It saved my work. Show you what that looks like. My work should always be there and I can keep coming back and forth, which is pretty cool. But let's go back to the teacher. The teacher is now in control. So if the teacher says, I have to be on the game right now, if I switch back to the student, they are switched to the game. So you are controlling their screen. If you want students to submit their work to you, instead of you having to go back into this website to see their work, they could take a screenshot. That's one option. Or the teacher can just go back into this lesson, open it up, and see what all the students did. And you'll get like a screenshot of all your students. I will say, if you have several classes, it's best to make a separate copy of the lesson for each of your classes. That way there's not too many students in one class. I would click on these 3 lines and I would choose make a copy. And it's going to make a copy of that exact same lesson and put it in my Google Drive. And then you can name it according to the group or the period that you're teaching. So I'm going to go to Google Drive and show you where it is. So here's the copy of the lesson. So I can name it right here. If I right click on it, I can go down to rename. And I could say block 2 math lesson. Hit OK. You can put these in folders and organizing them just like you would any other file. If you ever forget what you named it, you can search for .sls, which stands for Smart Learning Suite, and search for all your lessons you've made in Google Drive. You can see I've done a couple there. One other tip, if you want to load up a lesson, you just double click it and it's going to come up. And then I click the very top where it says Open with Smart Learning Suite, and that's going to open my lesson so that I can either grade what my students have done, or I can start the lesson or share the link with the students. If you have any other questions, feel free to contact an ITR team or see my Smart Suite Hyperdoc that has lots of resources, videos, and how to do things.